Hi, welcome to episode 39 and a half of the American Tributaries podcast, where to break out of the bubbles we all live in, we're using modern technology to explore the various currents of people in our great country, kind of like a 21st century Lewis and Clark journey. I'm your host, Michael Whitten, here in Brooklyn, New York, and thank you for joining me in this exploration of America. When I started this podcast, I was struggled to think about how I'd like to finish each episode. And what I came across was, trying to find the answer to a question that was on my mind, which is like, where's the hope? Because I think there's so much negativity out there, whether it's news media, social media, political messaging, or, public interests. So I thought, what better than, talk to regular folks that are going to be coming onto my podcast. And what I found was just so many different reasons to be hopeful and feel positive and feel empowered about what we all can do to make our lives and the lives of our families, friends, neighbors, communities, and nation better. So I hope you'll enjoy this special episode where you get to hear each of my guests answer the question, what gives you hope at the end of the day?
I think about that with this country and with this community and all the communities that I'm in is I have a lot of faith and confidence that the foundation is really good. And that, yes, life is a struggle. So we have things we have to work through, but my confidence is is that the foundation is good. And so it's going to, things will work out.
I will say that I think this next generation, the Gen Z, I feel that they have a good understanding of what really matters, and they are vocal enough and are interested in continuing to try to make this world better. And they give me a lot of hope.
Being in the classroom, if I'm with my students, is getting that feeling that they're on the same page, that they want the world to be a better place. We're learning from our mistakes in the past, whether it's going over the Holocaust or another genocide or some other issue that I'm teaching them. But what can we gain from that to make us to have a better future? Because that's why we teach history classes.
But maybe on a grander scale, things like you're doing right now. Let's step back, take a bit of a strategic look at who we are and what we're about and where we need to go. I think that has resonated with a lot of folks, maybe more so than any other point in recent memory. And so I think I'm hopeful that will drive a lot of convergence of interests and people prioritizing things that matter over the things that are distractors or solvable if we work together.
If you choose to, you can see people as, we're quite remarkable all over the place. There are amazing displays of real decency and humanity that all around us.
I'm no different than anybody else. Like, I sin. I screw things up. And then my hope is in someone that actually didn't screw things up. Someone that didn't drop the ball. Like, he's the one at the hibachi grill. You should be like, hey, because he's the one that gets things right. And so my hope is in Jesus, because he is the person that I know lived a life I couldn't live and died the death I couldn't die.
Some of the interactions I have with the people around me, the understanding they give me, and that I give them, it gives me hope. Like, when you watch the news, like we were saying, when you watch the news and you look at social media, it could get so negative. But when I go outside in the city every day and I talk to people and I deal with people, it gives me hope. Life isn't perfect. Life is going to be hard. But then, you look around and you see the awesome people around you. It's like, there's a lot of things you can enjoy in life, even when things are hard,
I think what gives me hope is that we can still have those conversations. We can have those conversations with people with whom we may not completely agree. But in order to do that, and this is the other side of it, we have to kind of turn off a lot of what, social media and other media are trying to tell us. And we have to do the kind of thing that you're doing in this, which is get out of our bubbles and, explicitly look for people who are very different from us to have those kinds of conversations with and to have those kind of friendships with.
There's bad, there's good everywhere in the world. Doesn't matter who you are or what you do. Let's respect everybody and move on. Opinions are opinions. You can have them. We got to get back in our lexicon. I understand, but I don't agree. Okay, let's agree to disagree.
What gives me hope is that a lot of things are more visible now. And there's so many different ways for expression. And I'm seeing, even though what's being blasted out usually nowadays seems to be the negative, what I'm seeing in the background, the groundswell, the movements that are happening are people getting together and talking, seeing what they can do to make things better. And that's what gives me hope, because there's that desire from a lot of people to talk. And I will jump at any opportunity for that.
So I have hope that people will overcome their fears and challenge themselves and better themselves. And then you can also, in return, do that for other people. It's passing it forward and helping other people, and then they continue and help other people down the road.
And that's the first reason I came to this country. It was to start my own business. So it's more challenging when you had it and you had to fold it, and then. But I think America, everything's possible. That's what I like about being here. So
knowing that people are out there, trying to understand themselves, hear other people, right? Being open to new experiences, like getting to see people struggling and getting better and trying to change. As hard as it is, it's so hard to change. There's so many reasons not to change.
Having lived through the last couple of years of the pandemic, like everyone has, and, having had to pivot and, change the way the business operated 1 time, 2 times, 5 times, and who knows if there are more times to come. It's, adaptability and innovation and, the human capacity for that are, what give me hope.
Seeing the students, and this may be a cliche answer, but all that they're doing and accomplishing, and there's students that I see that I interact with in my school and other schools in our region who are so much more qualified or ready for the world at hand than I felt like I was. And so I think seeing how far we've come in a lot of different ways is really does give me hope.
You know what really does give me hope? And I think about these things, I think about kindness, right? Kindness. I think about the kindness of people. I think that we are a world with a lot of kindness, a potential for even more kindness, and kindness starts something at home. Our kids seeing us be kind, us being kind, not for any other reason than to be kind.
Wine has a great way of producing camaraderie between different people, and I really view it as a big potentially joining force between humans, and yeah, that's definitely a thought that gives me hope.
We live in a world that we're tempted to think is hopeless. There's not much hope out there. Is that there is good and bad everywhere you look, and so find the good. Whether it's religion, region, ethnicity, occupation, find the good people and really look towards them, because that is our hope for the future. The people that can take good and continue to spread it throughout the world.
I like to see the good in people, and I think, unfortunately, as a society, a lot of folks want to see the ugly side of every individual. And people aren't perfect. People say things they shouldn't say. They make mistakes. They do things that are stupid. But I want to believe that people have good hearts and that that their hearts are in the right place, and that they're people loving what they do and loving being a part of a fabric of a community and whatnot. Like whether it's a sports community, whether it's our community in Brooklyn, whether it's guys you see on the golf course or whatnot. Like I do want to believe, and maybe it's naive, but there's a good in people.
The fact that I get to sit every day and watch the next generation of soldiers be trained by the professional non-commissioned officers and officer cadre that we have, just getting to still be a part of that.
In the context of the great narrative, we're okay, and we're going to be okay. And I think you doing your podcast gives me hope, because it shows me that the braver angels and rationality and compassion and humility are prevailing in small ways, and as they continue to, that will grow.
That I look at these my daughter and my son and their friends, and I think it's going to, the cycle will continue. It may not be what any of us can think of, but who knows what it's going to look like. But I do think that that they're the ones that I really feel like are going to carry us through.
I am very encouraged by how people seem to be rediscovering, finding joy and gratitude in very everyday things. I know we love all to harangue, social media, but when I see how many people take to social media to take a poorly focused photo of a full moon, and just, the elation that they feel in seeing it, they're so excited they want to share it with everybody. Same for the fireworks or, whatever it is. I'm very encouraged that people seem to be kind of shortening the tether that they keep their life on, and just really paying closer attention to smaller things.
Well, what gives me hope is that there's still people out there every day fighting that battle, trying to make the world a better place.
When I meet people on the street, like I said, to have a conversation, even with someone that may be completely different from me, with a completely different background and in a completely different way they look at life, those interactions and the interactions that typically end up being positive ones really give me hope that most Americans are not just out to get at each other's throats. We are here to make this country a better place and make it a better place for future generations. So I know that all sounds very positive, given some of the things that we're seeing globally and some of the things that we're even seeing in this country. But again, it's those one-on-one interactions, and it's the work ethic I see across the board from Americans that truly care about this great nation and making it better. That gives me a lot of hope. So I to echo a number of, I think, presidents who have said it, I think America's best days are ahead of us. I think we've got plenty of work to do, but I think we're doing it well. And I think as long as we keep doing it, well, there's nothing that we can't do.
The notion, either the people that have decided, okay, fine, I'm not going to be king of the world or queen of the world or whatever, but I'm going to have an interesting and fulfilling life, or the people who've said, fine. So the road to success doesn't involve climbing a mountain anymore. It involves climbing the side of a building without any equipment. Cool. I think I can get to this brick, then that brick, then that brick, then that brick, and away they go.
I have such respect for a lot of the students that I'm studying with, and their determination and their priorities really, really give me hope.
I think hope is a natural thing. It's like really human. It's just very natural. Even like when everything's depressive, like there is that moment.
But I think there's this like human spirit that we do want to either connect or improve or get along, or some people might say love each other, whatever this is. And And it just, at the end of the day, it's really hopeful to see, like, my clients, I see that in them, and then it feeds me, right? And it's probably mutual. I think we all kind of nourish each other, is what makes me feel very hopeful.
So the Chinese Empire has existed for 1700 years. The Roman Empire exists for 1200 years. Athenian democracy exists for 250 years. We're not at the end of the American story. We're literally at the beginning. Depending on the size of a book that you read, we're either in chapter 1, 2, or 3. This is the start. And the more and more we start thinking about us not inheriting a system, but being creators and leaders, the more agency we give ourselves. So we have to change the frame. We aren't living in a stagnating society. We're living in a society, and we're living in the most ambitious experiment in the history of democracies. And so if you have that perspective of a long run of time, we're just at the start. And the challenges that we're facing are not only natural, but unique. We're going to be the most diverse country in the history of democracies. We're going to be the most technologically advanced. We're going to be the most racially diverse. We're going to be living through some of the most concentrated periods of wealth. We have the chance to build something really special.
The knowledge and information that we have access to, it can be eye-opening. And as long as we're open to, it comes down within each of us to being open to actually think about things differently with that knowledge. But the information that's out there, the reality that is out there, for me, that's hope.
Look for the things that give us hope, as opposed to focusing in on the things that take away our hope. And I think if we do that, at the very least, I teach my kids, you control what you can control. You can't control anybody else. You can control yourself. You can control how you look at the world, how you observe the world, who you keep in your world, who you push out of your world. You can control all that. And I think, it's one of those, if we spent more time focusing on the things that gives us each individual hope, because everybody's different, right? You're different. I'm different. Maybe some of the things between you and I, overlap, whatever, they cross over each other, that kind of stuff. But sometimes we just got to open our eyes.
The children's smiles, positivity, pure joy. And we could learn so much from this special population about what's really important in life. And may we all simulate that. Because, life is short, and let's enjoy it to the best of our ability and to make the world a better place every day.
The hope is that I encounter every day, including like right now, people that can have, just calm discussions. And you didn't ask my politics. I didn't ask yours. It didn't matter. We were just talking about the world, talking about problems, talking about potential solutions. I see hope in people like at work, that every single person I work with could do something, far more, lucrative and financially rewarding, but they choose not to because they have a higher cause.
We really look forward to see how more Gen Z people take over Congress, take over the Senate, and how, especially with social media, how politics and governance change. Because then it's going to be, I think it's going to be revolutionary how things happen. I think it has the way that one conducts business or governs in the world of politics here in Washington, D.C. has been more or less the same for decades. But now I see a huge change coming, and I'm really eager to see that, to see people say, nope, I'm not going to take this.
What gives me hope is this job right here. Being the post command sergeant major of Fort Jackson, seeing the new generation of soldiers come through the gates of Fort Jackson on day one, they can't tie their shoe, they can't do anything. And after 10 weeks, these soldiers are confident, they're respectful, and they just walk a lot taller. And I'm like, wow, okay, I guess we're doing this right. That gives me hope. That lets me know that The freedoms and the liberties that we all enjoy today are going to continue to be protected because we have new generation of soldiers that are stepping up. And you know what? These soldiers are smarter than I was when I went through. They're stronger and they're faster. And a lot of them are a lot better looking than I am.
As individuals, we are planted here for a reason. And we are here to support each other. What I'm creating is helping people in ways that I don't even know, because they are finding their own definitions and their own stories and their own meaning in what I'm creating. And that is what I don't have control of. Me not having control of that is what gives me hope.
I do think that we can change our culture. It always feels so hopeless and helpless, but we do it when we don't even notice it. By deciding what matters. And I think more and more people are deciding, I should make some choices about how I spend my attention and my time and my conversation. I should make choices. I should not just go on the default factory settings of the tools and technologies at my disposal.
Seeing the smiles, I think, on a lot of these younger kids, and like being able to like me personally talk to these little kids and share share what I think is wonderful and like joy, and like getting them to smile and like give me good feedback gives me a lot of hope of just like feeling good about like people, and like human connection, which this is what it's all about. Selling Christmas trees is human connection. So I think that's kind of the piece of the hope that I love the most. That's for sure.
I've met so many great people in Red Hook. I've met so many great people through the paper, and I have 100% confidence in them that they're going to do a great job and that they're going to make the community a better place.
Well, I hope that you found as much hope in all of that as I did. And before I wrap up, I should say thank you to all the guests that have come on the show, because this would be nowhere without them. And they've given so much to me, more than I could have ever expected. And I'm very grateful to have been able to explore so much of the country with this technology. And I just want to kind of share like all the states that we've been to so far. Alaska, California, Florida, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, and Wyoming. That's in all the first 40 episodes, so I'm grateful to them. I'm so grateful to have learned about so many different kinds of professions out there, and it's really highlighted to me that when we think about keeping diversity in our life, certainly background, ethnicity, and there's so many other ways that are out there to think about how we can have a rich fabric of different kinds of people in our friendship groups and our families. But there's also the diversity of regions, and there's the diversity of professions. And I am glad to have had at least to be able to scrape the surface of all else that's out there. And I should also thank all of the listeners and viewers who have joined us on the podcast with each episode. So far, we've had total of almost 3,500 engagements, whether as listeners or viewers. In total, we've had 843 podcast downloads and 2,700 views on YouTube. So that's wonderful, more than I could have ever dreamed of. So thank you very much. I hope that you yourself have hope, find hope, seek out the hope, and explore our country with curiosity, respect, compassion, and humility. Happy holidays, happy New Year's, and thank you.